listeners, to another interesting and insightful episode of the BizBlend Podcast, the show where business meets real talk, strategy meets soul, and AI meets authenticity. Listeners, I'm your host Sana, and today in this episode, we are going to dive into a topic that's right now buzzing across every industry, but especially in spaces like construction, where digital transformation has often lagged behind. How do you build a truly human brand in an increasingly automated, AI driven world? And listeners, my guest today isn't just another marketing expert. He is someone who built his way up brick by digital brick with over 20 years of experience helping contractors and construction pros grow online without the jargon or the hype, he's the no nonsense voice we need in this conversation. He runs Uplift 360, helping companies ditch the fluff and focus on strategies that actually work, from SEO to websites to digital trust building. So, whether you are a tech savvy founder or just figuring out your first CRM, stick around. This episode is about cutting through the noise, finding your voice, and owning your space. Human first, yet AI smart. So, listeners, meet my guest, Wes Towers. So, Wes, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really excited and honored to have you here with us.
Oh, it's fantastic to be here. I look forward to talking about some fun times that we're living in with AI and the need to be human.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Wes, the most interesting part here is you come from an industry which is traditionally uh, not considered, into the top levels of digital revolution or digital transformation. Yet, this industry it needs such a huge amount of digital transformation. So, construction. I mean, um, you would definitely have a very different perspective like from the basics that how AI can actually bring a lot of digital transformation and also can help in branding with a human first strategy. So to begin with, Wes, in a world where AI is writing our emails, scheduling our meetings, taking minutes of the meetings, and even generating our brand messaging, how does a small business actually sound human online today?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's so easy to take shortcuts and just jump straight to ChatGPT or another whatever your preferred AI platform is. And the when you do that, the risk is you'll sound like just every other company that's just like you because particularly if you're publishing content that it's writing on your behalf. So um, it might you might punch in a few prompts and get an article that seems that it suits your business or your brand, and you might publish that on the social platforms and your website and everywhere else. But it's just going to be the same as everybody else, and that so it adds no value to the conversation. So it becomes very bland, and I think there's never been a time in history more so that to be a real human, to have the nuance and to have something unique about you has been the real important aspect of what you bring to the marketplace. So you're right. So I do websites, I do search engine optimization. We're calling it search everywhere optimization now because it's not just Google. It's the chat GPTs, the large language models and YouTube and uh, social platforms and everywhere else. It all matters. So optimizing in a way that engages your audience is key, and to be unique and specific in what you're trying to communicate. So if there's something unique about your brand, they're the most important messages to convey. So and it really starts with getting your own voice right. So when we start working with construction companies, oftentimes they've not even really considered their voice, their brand voice, and to get those
Mhm.
foundational pillars right, so it's communicated in a way consistently no matter if they're publishing something on their website or publishing something on their social platforms. The consistency is really key, and the nuance of what makes them sets them apart in the world. Because if you just leave it to the AI devices, they'll come up with something and it might sound okay, but it's the uniqueness that people need to buy and the authenticity really, that you can bring if you get the foundational voice right for your brand, and that goes for your company brand, but also your personal brand as well.
Yeah, that is right. That is absolutely right, Wes. And then one thing that you mentioned is right now it is more than obvious to be human, because we are seeing digitization and AI everywhere right now. So I think to be human, that authenticity, that is something that's like, X factor. So uh, I completely agree with what you say. Um, and let's talk about automation. Um, it promises scale and speed. I agree with that to some extent. But then how do you strike a balance between efficiency and then emotional connection when building a brand?
Yeah, it's a really great question, and with the clients, I've got one interesting case study with a particular client. Um,
Mhm.
as I said before, we do search everywhere optimization. So you want your brand in a multitude of places. Now, no one can focus really well on every platform, but for a particular client, he videos the projects he's working on. I won't say exactly what business he's in, but he'll video the project as a case study, and it's just one take. It's a fairly crude video just on his mobile phone, so it's not really well polished. It's just him talking in his natural way, which is quite engaging. It's got ums and ahs, and it's not polished by any means, but that video into his YouTube platform does really well. But that's forms the foundation of a new message. So we take that on his behalf, and we've got some prompts to convert that into a really well crafted blog posts or news, he calls it. So and they're case studies. So we know precisely what he's doing on the ground, and the beauty of that is it's only he has done that case study, only he has done that exact project, in that location. So he's mentioning the locations, which is great if you're trying to rank well in Google, because most businesses target a geographic location. So he's naturally mentioning the locations. He's mentioning the exact project of what he's doing, what he's achieving, what the client is wishing to achieve. So all of those things are unique to him. So whilst we're using AI to automate the blog post writing, and we've got style guides written out, so it's in his voice, and a lot of his voice is picked up just from the transcription from the video. But we keep it in a consistent format. Obviously, the blog post writing is a little more polished than him just talking on the videos, but
Mhm.
it's hitting similar messaging, and it's hitting the right um, frequency. So it's a way for him to publish content on a multitude of platforms. And the way to look at publishing to your website, there's a lot of fear around um, people not getting the traffic that they once did to a website, because if you search on Google, you'll see at the top the AI overview. So there's less
Yep.
reason oftentimes to go to a website because the answer's met there. However, they're the people just researching at that point in time. If someone needs to buy something, they still need to engage with the business, engage with the brand. And oftentimes that means visiting the website and engaging in that way. So uh, publishing regularly to YouTube, which is a great platform in and of itself, but to repurpose that same message into a blog post, it informs the ChatGPT. So ChatGPT will oftentimes draw upon information it can glean across the websites, across the platforms, and your own website is the one area online that you control. You have absolute control of other platforms, there, social media, it's in a noisy space, but your own website, and that's where your brand can be established and strengthened, So it's a great way to leverage one message, and it takes him very little time to
Mhm.
do it because he's um he's just doing it as he works on projects. He doesn't think it through too much. He just talks it through, and out comes so much content. That content again from the blog post can be repurposed into social media posts as well. So yeah, it's just thinking about automating some of those things so it streamlines the process and builds it into his business, so he hasn't got to spend too much time on it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a very um, good example of this, and I think there's definitely a fine line. Too much automation, you might risk losing that human touch with your customers. But then too little, it's a bit chaotic. Um, Trying too many things at the same time to respond to every comment
Mm.
or every message. It's definitely about balance, not purity. Yeah, Wes, you were saying something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. You can't do everything really well. So whilst we talk about search everywhere optimization, it's about picking the platforms that will likely engage your ideal clients. So the places that they spend their time. So if oftentimes if it's a construction business, working with other, companies, a B2B style of arrangement, platform like LinkedIn might be really great. If it's a construction company that's building homes for your regular families, then a Facebook um, strategy might work a little bit better for them. So, and just thinking through, you can't possibly spend all your time on every platform, but doing the few that you choose to, doing them really well, is a great step in the right direction. So they're the things you can do yourself, but obviously things that brand mentions that you earn because you're a quality provider is really a great thing too. So getting great reviews on Google or other platforms as well. Mentions anywhere, podcasts like this can be great for brands because they're being um, see, the AI can draw upon, content across the everywhere online, so anywhere that a brand's mentioned in a positive way, can be really powerful.
Yeah, right. And do you think customers actually they are noticing or caring if a brand uses AI in their communication? As long as it solves their problem.
Um, if it solves the problem, I don't think anyone minds. I even use it personally to answer my phone. And the reason for that is just as the first port of call. So a lot of people would have a lot of companies would have a phone answering service, and you press, you're prompted to press one or two to be taken to the right department. Well, I've got an AI assistant answering my phone, so it'll talk to somebody and ask what do they need, and then it'll put them through to the right department or send them a link to book in if they're needing a briefing. If they want to, it'll prompt them to send them a link so they can book directly into a calendar for that meeting. So little things like that. In my circumstance, I haven't had any pushback about that process. Um, and it's been great for me because it's minimized a lot of the calls. Probably 70% of calls that we get to our company are telemarketing, so they're not really, um, useful calls for us, so it's a great way to filter some of that out, um, but also to get the person through to the right person, at the right time, or to book them straight into a meeting as well. So, yeah, I think everyone's just going to be, comfortable more and more so as these things evolve and improve. I think,
Mm.
obviously, at some point, the people will like to engage with a human and talk to somebody like me if they're looking to have a website designed or search engine optimization. But those is I think a hybrid approach is the smart approach.
That's right. I think this really sums up very well. And let's come to uh, differentiation. Now, um, although let's say any tool like Chat GPT or Claude or Grok or anything like that, so it kind of the algorithm, it reads the inputs given by the user. Based on that, it definitely gives an output. But then we are still seeing similar content, the kind of words, the flow, the structure of the content getting similar for everyone. So
Yeah.
how can businesses stand out without becoming just copy of the copy?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really important. So for when we're producing content for clients, which we do a fair bit of from an SEO standpoint, we do it. But the first key critical point is to write the style guide to, and that will oftentimes the clients have never even considered their voice and how they want to communicate. They've just had content written for their website or social platforms by a professional, but they've never really discussed how they want their voice to be. That their copywriter's just done it on their behalf, so they've not even considered it. So we'll have that conversation of how they want to be perceived in the industry and how they want to relate to people and write the style guide. So sometimes it's a matter of using the content within their website, for example, and gleaning a style guide out of that if they're happy with their web content. But sometimes it's starting afresh and saying, okay, what do you want your voice to represent? How do you want the style written? Do you want it expansive or do you want it concise? All those sorts of things. If you want technical information or you want to keep it really simple, all those sorts of things. Once you've got your style guide and use that as the foundation for any other content writing, it becomes uniquely yours. So that's the style to be make sure it's uniquely your style, but the messaging is really key too. So within those style guides, we actually expand upon it more than that, but and include a key differentiation for the brand. So key aspects that they believe set them apart in the marketplace. So it might be a certain focus, or it might be that they're really niched into a particular type of work, which is great. The more niched you are, I don't know if you say niche or niche. We say niche in our part of the world, but the unique. What was that? Sorry.
Sometimes I also get confused with it.
Yeah, I know. I know. So, yeah, so the more specific you can be, and it's a matter of me talking to the client and understanding precisely what their best work looks like, what their best clients look like, because your best future clients are probably going to look just like your best current clients. So, who are they? What messaging suits them, and target more of the same ideal client.
Hmm. I really love, and I really actually appreciate when a small company, it sounds like it's directly talking to you. For example, there's kind of a personal journey attached to um, the vision for that company, because it's raw, it's real, and it's like memorable. So there's definitely a beautiful personal motivation behind that. Um,
Yeah.
so that is absolutely something very interesting and something that differentiates. And Wes, is it possible that too much authenticity, especially unfiltered or inconsistent messaging, can it actually hurt a brand? Like I'm being too much of active and opinionated everywhere.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, I guess if you become too polarizing, there might not be enough people that you engage with. I suppose there is always that risk for, and I think that risk is. similar to niching into an industry. When I chose to niche into, I do websites and I do SEO, and I do it mostly for the construction related businesses. But it wasn't always that way. I did websites for anyone and everybody, previously. So getting really specific in who I wanted to target there was a bit of fear about it because I wasn't sure if it would work. I was scared about turning away, potential clients that weren't really a great fit for us anymore. So, there's that fear of lack and not having enough, and I think that same fear would probably apply if you did become too, I guess the word, opinionated or, counter I guess if you're too counter what everyone else in the industry is doing, that there is that risk. I think sometimes our fears are over exaggerated, they're inflated far beyond what the reality will be. I suppose there's always a tipping point, isn't there? There's and it depends on the nature of a brand, but I think now, as you said before, it's so easy to produce content. If you keep it bland and like everybody else, there's you're just not going to get noticed. So I think it's a wise, decision to risk not appealing to everybody in the hope that you will at least get noticed by somebody.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. That's I think it's a very mindful approach to it. Of course, there has to be um a bit of a not exactly opinionated, but or not like click worthy or clickbait or some kind of
Yeah.
petty kind of language, but at least it like reflects your own thoughts and feelings in there, not just a bland um, content in there or comment or thought or post. Um, and before we wrap up, with now many businesses they are using AI to write website content, blogs, um, as you also mentioned, like handle customer queries. So, is hiring a digital marketing expert still worth it?
It 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 is for now. I don't know what the future I think, eventually, um, it'll become so sophisticated, the platforms, that there'll be less and less need to hire people, but as of now, I think it's still really important to hire. I might be biased, but I think you should hire a web developer, designer to build a website that's optimized, in terms of the coding, so it performs really fast. Everything is correctly built behind the scenes, so Google like it, and it's easily crawled by all the platforms, including ChatGPT. So, um, I think it's wise to get the foundational things right, but as of producing the content itself, once you've got the foundations and you're comfortable enough with a bit of guidance, and we do that for a number of clients. We guide clients to produce their own content. So guide them through producing the style guide and how to write the content so it's engaging and has it's all the relevance and authority, so it gets recognized and noticed. So we guide some clients through that process who've got capacity to do it themselves, and others just say, "We trust you. We'd prefer you to do it on our behalf." And both options are totally fine. So I think there's still a great need for the technical aspect of web design, and getting the foundations right, I would say.
Definitely. And I also believe was that it's if it's worth it, I would definitely if I were leading a business where I feel that okay, right now my messaging, my branding, my website, it can be it's doable with AI, then fine. But at some point of the time, I would still go for a human to be in there because a human mind, the human heart would understand better in terms of what um, anyone who is coming to the website for the first time, or anyone who is interacting with the brand, the company for the first time, they would get an experience from it. So I would still go to do that. Before we wrap up, Wes, if our listeners they would like to connect with you, and would love to explore more about Uplift 360, about the work that you are doing, what would be the best way?
Yeah, so the webs you'll find all my social, the company's social media through the website. So the best option would just to be to visit uplift360.com.au. There are other Uplift 360s around the world apparently now, so, but we should show up if you Google Uplift 360. And in there, you'll find links to LinkedIn and Facebook and all the others as well. So it'd be great to connect on the social platforms. If you do reach out to my personal LinkedIn, that's fine too. I accept everybody in there, so that's fine. And happy to talk to anybody interested in what we're doing.
Brilliant. I'll make sure to mention the links and details in the show notes, Wes. And thank you so much for such a candid conversation. It's real talk, it's hard-earned wisdom, and then of course there is practical clarity. So thank you so much
Oh,
for
fantastic!
sharing your
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
yeah. And to all the listeners out there, in a world where we are told to automate everything, West reminds us that trust, clarity, and voice still come from the human behind the screen. So, whether you are running a construction business or crafting a tech startup, your brand can't just scale, it needs to connect. So, if today's episode gave you something to think about, share it with someone building their brand or trying to rebuild it in this AI era, and make sure to connect with Wes and check out Uplift 360. Refer to the show notes along with this episode. And remember, here on BizBlend, we don't just talk business, we humanize it. Until next time, this is your host, Sana, signing off. Thank you.